The checkpoint is presented by Ghiom Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. Ghiom Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Well, here's one more interesting story about the Georgian tourism sector. What is the main challenge for ski resorts and how the pandemic influenced the environment? You can catch up all the answers in a report by Ghiom mulart.
We already discussed previously about the most impacted sectors of the COVID-19. The tourism industry is for sure the one who has been struggling the most for the last 2 years. In Georgia, 2019 was the year of all the records with more than 9 million of tourists, which is 3 times more than the current population of Georgia. Which consequences had this crisis for the tourism sector in Georgia? And what are the possible outcomes? We're going to try to answer this difficult question with Maya Sidamonidze, the former director of the GNTA, the Georgian National Tourism Administration.
Since 2009, tourism industry in Georgia has become one of the fastest developing industries contributing to the national economy. One of the major preconditions were the open sky policy and visa facilitation process, which has largely contributed to the opening the borders for international tourism in Georgia. The government of Georgia has prioritized developing tourism, which lately has become one of the largest employers too in the country. And in 2019, during pre-COVID situation, the number of international travelers were over 9 million, which is 3 times more than overall population of the country. I think that during recent years, Georgia has become one of the new emerging destinations. People are tired of the same traditional destinations. Therefore, Georgia has become a very interesting destination for international travelers because people here come to experience new so-called travel experiences. I think Georgia is diverse with its tourism products. We have unique culture, history, which contributes to creating very unique tourism products and interest for the travelers who experience the destination. And I think Georgian hospitality and Georgian people is one of the authentic experiences that people like when they visit the country and they travel within the country. Well, according to statistics, over 70% of international travelers are from the neighbor countries, and then from CIS countries, the former CIS countries, the Gulf region. Europe is one of the growing contributing source markets, and also the Asian markets. But from Europe, I would say that Germany and UK are the major producers in terms of international tourism, but again, when we talk about international tourism, Georgia still has the challenge to diversify its target markets and attract and generate more tourism for the various diverse markets. Tourism is fairly new industry in Georgia. I would say that it's last 10 years or 15 years that it has started developing. Therefore, definitely we're facing a lot of challenges. The quality of service, the qualification and the experience of the human capital that are the main drivers of the service quality in the country at the moment and service providers. And the infrastructure. The country has invested a lot in infrastructure lately, building new airports, generating new investments to build new hotels and tourism infrastructure, but also investing a lot in marketing, in proactive marketing activities to target more countries, therefore generating more income and investing more in infrastructure. At the moment, I would say, and lately during pre-COVID situation, the major challenge was to prioritize quality over quantity. We were generating more than 9 million international travelers in the country, but Tourism was one of the first industries that were hit badly by COVID. And I think it's not only for emerging countries, but worldwide. The case in terms of emerging countries, and the problem is that the capital and the resources are scarce. And the business was hit very badly and affected very badly because the government, to be honest, didn't have a lot of financial resources to spread the financial support for the business. Therefore, a lot of hotels and a lot of business premises were closed during the COVID and were not able to reopen, unfortunately, because at the moment the industry is recovering in Georgia, but it's still not the same figures as we had in 2019 and during pre-COVID situation. Probably we will face a lot of challenges ahead because we will need to work out the post-COVID strategy to recover the industry fully, to help the business and to help the international tourism flow renew the figures that we had before. The recovery process hugely depends on the pandemic situation. Therefore, I think it depends how the government handles the pandemic situation, which is not really positive at the moment because of the vaccination process and because of some of the restrictions that were introduced by the government before. I think that the pandemic situation will lead the recovery process. If we're still in the red area and in the threat area, of course, a lot of countries won't let their travelers to visit Georgia. Therefore, I think that one of the first steps that the Georgian government has to take is to stabilize the pandemic situation here, which is a challenge not only for Georgia but for other countries too worldwide. Secondly, probably Georgia has to think out of the box because a lot of things will change. The travel behavior will change, probably the demand will change, the interests and the behavior of the tourists will change. Therefore, probably one of the things that Georgia has to do is to rethink the target markets, rethink the tourism products, how we're going to target, which markets are we going to target, what kind of tourism products we need to offer to them, and also allocate certain financial resources, which is a challenge for the countries like Georgia because we still have emerging economies. One of the initiatives I think that government should initiate is the post-COVID tourism recovery strategy, which hasn't been done yet. And even if it's in the process of preparing, I think it's a bit late because we should be now already implementing the strategy, and not only government, but it should be public-private dialogue. It should be between public and private sector together, because at the end of the day, the business and the private sectors are the final service providers, and definitely there should be more communication and more coordination, and there should be a concrete strategy that is serving post-COVID recovery here in Georgia. I think the pandemic has changed people's perspective of traveler, and their interests have shifted. Therefore, travelers are more interested in nature, in authentic experiences. I think Georgia has some diverse offerings because it's a small country and small territory. We have mountains, we have sea, we have a unique cultural identity, we have very interesting and rich history, we have very delicious cuisine, wine, and I think all this in combination creates a unique experience for travelers.
As you see, it will be a long way to fully recover from this unprecedented crisis. Even though Georgia has a lot to offer, first of all, pandemic should be totally stabilized, and public and private sectors should work hand in hand, but tourism professionals have still hopes of improvement from spring 2022.
The Checkpoint is presented by Ghiom Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. Ghiom Pharma, to serve those who need it most.